right off the bat, you got to let me know, how did I do on today's thumbnail? Comment in the comment section down below. Let me know. And thank you very much for tuning in. It's great to be here as always. Welcome back to the channel. And usually whenever we're talking about policy or news or something like that, I try to regulate those discussions to Second Amendment related issues. And today's going to be a little bit of a departure. We're going to talk about economics briefly today because it's bad out there. Housing is through the roof. Commodities are through the roof. I was just at the grocery store a little bit ago. You almost can't buy meat. It's getting really, really bad. And there's a whole bunch of ideas swirling the bowl on how that should be corrected. What can we do to combat that? Some of those ideas are really good ideas. Some of those ideas are disastrous ideas. And the reason that I, as the head of a Second Amendment channel, am choosing to talk about this today is the policies that Kamala Harris is proposing to combat price gouging, as in instituting price controls, very well likely may implicate the Second Amendment because you might have to use a gun to keep people from stealing your stuff. That is not hyperbole. That is not conjecture. That is historical fact. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the VSO Gun Channel. Today's video is brought to you by Sling Steady. Sling Steady is a system that was designed to create a more stable, easy to use, reliable squeeze bag than anything else on the market. It is a lightweight squeeze bag that attaches directly to your sling for recreational shooters, hunting, and long-range shots. With this, you're able to steady your rifle quicker and more effectively than ever before, and it attaches in just a couple seconds. This is an American-made product. You can find all that information over on our affiliates page. Special thanks to Sling Steady for making today's video possible. Argentina, Venezuela, the Soviet Union, and the list goes on and on. Oh, that can't happen here. There's no way that that would ever happen. We're too good a people to do that. So, have you ever been hungry? People do a lot of crazy stuff when they get hungry, when there are shortages. But don't just take my word for it. Let's turn to what some other people say. Associated Press, will Harris's proposal lower grocery prices? Most economists say no. Washington Post, when your opponent calls you communist, maybe don't propose price controls. It's hard to exaggerate how bad Kamala Harris's price gouging proposal is. The New York Post, writing people large checks and enforcing price controls is a recipe for expanding demand and shrinking supply, creating shortages, and necessitating rationing. Do any of those sources that I just cited for you sound like they are conservative conspiracy theorists? If you think that they are, then you clearly haven't been paying attention. But hey, we'll go one further. We'll let Google algorize the data for you and tell you basically what the historical record says about price controls. Again, this is from Google's AI, a source that at its very least is confirmed to be less than objective when it comes to weighing conservative viewpoints. So we'll just call it objective, even though we know that this generally leads towards the other side of the aisle, giving them a boost wherever possible. So with that in mind, what does Google AI say about price controls? Price controls are government-mandated minimum or maximum prices for goods and services instead of allowing supply and demand to determine prices. Minimum prices are called price floors, and maximum prices are called price ceilings. Price controls can be used for a number of reasons, such as ensuring that citizens can buy what they need during economic hardship, making basic necessities affordable, and preventing price gouging during shortages. Protecting producers and ensuring they receive enough revenue would be an example of something that a price floor would be used for. However, price controls can also have negative consequences, including, number one, shortages. When a price ceiling is set below the market price, sellers may be willing to supply fewer goods while consumers demand more. This can result in excess demand and shortages. Price controls can lead to rationing. Are you happy with the quality of your produce at your local grocery store? Never fear, price controls are here to make it even worse. Inferior quality. Price controls can lead to inferior product quality. Price controls can lead to the creation of illegal markets. Unintended consequences. For example, rent control policies may seem like a good way to make housing more affordable, but they can have unintended consequences that make problems worse. If you would like to run down all the sources that are listed next to all those bullet points there, I'm not going to give you a link, so it looks like I've adulterated your search results. All you need to do is enter into the Google search engine, price controls, economics 101, and this same thing should pop up for you, and you can run down all of the examples that they give of where these have happened throughout history. I know that things are tough right now. I feel it. Everybody feels it. We have a housing shortage. The interest rates are through the roof. You can't even afford to get a mortgage if you can qualify for one. You can't buy meat. The waiting times on pharmacies across the country are through the roof, waiting sometimes days for prescriptions. What do you think is going to happen if you start undercutting the ability of these businesses to be able to operate? The point of this video is that this is not a new story by any sense of the imagination. We've seen this time and time again, and I am just making this video to bring it to your attention. So please send this video to someone who you think needs to see it, who thinks that the government stepping in to control anything, the government always screws it up. They created this situation that you are currently in by printing money. Government needs to get out of the way. And yes, that means that the government needs to do fewer things. We've been kicking this can down the road for decades now. And you are getting stuck with the sins of your previous generations. Your parents and grandparents decided that, oh, we'll just pass this buck on to our children and let them deal with it later when maybe they'll have better economic times. And well, this is where we are today. The government only makes it worse. And history tells us that this is a really bad idea that almost always ends up bad for its citizens. You don't believe me? Do you remember the video of the two ladies fighting over the toilet paper in the grocery store during the We all saw that. What do you think it's going to be when you literally can't buy food, when you can't get medicine, when you can't buy gas, when you can't afford your rent? I will leave you today with a quote from Nobel Prize winner Milton Friedman, an economist. We economists don't know much, but we do know how to create a shortage. If you wanted to create a shortage on tomatoes, for example, just pass a law that retailers can't sell tomatoes for more than 2 cents per pound. Instantly, you'll have a tomato shortage. It's the same with oil and gas and every other commodity. If people cannot make a living doing a thing, then the incentive to do that thing evaporates. If you want to destroy your economy even further than it already is, and if you want to push your country to the point where we are literally fighting over everyday items in the United States of America, then you do exactly what this woman is proposing that you do. This will be an unmitigated disaster. This is, quite frankly, one of the dumbest things that I have ever heard. Since it seems that we're always comparing people to bad guys from history, literally Joseph Stalin.